It usually starts quietly, not with failure, not with drama, but with a strange feeling you can't explain. You're sitting somewhere alone, maybe scrolling, maybe staring at nothing, and it hits you again. That subtle, uncomfortable awareness that you don't fit neatly into one box, that your mind refuses to stay loyal to just one dream, one passion, one identity. You try to ignore it, but it follows you like a shadow. And sooner or later, you ask yourself the question you've been avoiding for years. Why do I have so many interests? And why does that make life feel harder instead of richer? If you've ever felt that way, this isn't just a video you clicked on. This is a mirror. You live in a world that worships clarity. People admire those who knew exactly what they wanted at 18, who chose one path and walked it without looking back. Doctors, engineers, artists, entrepreneurs, clean labels, clean stories. Linear lives, and every time someone asks you, "So what do?" you feel your chest tighten slightly, because the honest answer is complicated, because your life doesn't move in straight lines, because you are interested in too many things to reduce yourself to a single sentence. And somehow, instead of seeing that as richness, society trained you to see it as a weakness from a young age. Your curiosity was wide, not narrow. One month you were obsessed with writing, then psychology, then technology, then history, then business, then something else entirely. Each interest felt real. Each one felt like it could be the thing. And every time you leaned into one, someone eventually said, "You need to focus." As if curiosity was a leak you needed to seal. So you started questioning yourself. Maybe I'm inconsistent. Maybe I get bored too easily. Maybe I lack discipline. Maybe I'm afraid of commitment. But deep down, you knew that wasn't the full truth. Because when you're truly engaged, you can focus for hours. When something matters to you, you give it everything. The issue was never focus. The issue was alignment. The moment something stopped feeding your mind or soul, staying felt unbearable. Like slowly suffocating while pretending you're fine. Psychologically, people like you tend to have minds that are built for connection, not confinement. Neuroscience calls this high associative cognition. Your brain naturally links ideas across domains. You don't see interests as separate lanes, you see them as overlapping maps. One idea sparks another. One skill enhances a completely different one. Where others go deep in one direction, you go wide and then deep in multiple places. This makes you adaptable, creative, intuitive. It also makes you restless in systems that reward sameness. And here's the painful part. No one tells you. Systems weren't designed for minds like yours. Schools reward memorization and specialization. Careers reward predictability. Society rewards people who can repeat the same identity for decades without flinching. So when your interests evolve not randomly, but developmentally, you feel like you're failing at a game you never agreed to play, emotionally. This creates a quiet identity conflict. You feel like you're always becoming, but never arriving. You look at others who seem settled and wonder what you're missing. You tell yourself, once I find the right thing, everything will make sense. But the right thing keeps changing because you keep changing. That's not immaturity. That's growth. But when growth isn't socially validated, it turns inward and becomes self-doubt. There's also a deeper emotional layer beneath having too many interests, one that's harder to admit. Many multi-interested people are also deeply sensitive to meaning. You don't just want success. You want resonance. You want your work, your time, your energy to feel emotionally honest. When something stops feeling true, your nervous system reacts. You lose motivation not because you're lazy, but because your mind knows it's outgrown the container, so you move on, and then comes the guilt. The fear that you're wasting potential, the shame of unfinished projects, the silent worry that one day you'll look back and realize you never fully became anything. This is where the dark side appears. Because when curiosity isn't grounded, it can become escapism, jumping from interest to avoid boredom, discomfort, or self-confrontation. Starting new things because beginnings feel hopeful, while middles feel demanding. This pattern can fragment your energy and leave you exhausted, scattered, and quietly disappointed in yourself. You start romanticizing a version of yourself who just sticks to one thing. You imagine how peaceful life would be if your mind didn't constantly pull you in different directions. You promise yourself that this time will be different, and when it isn't, the self-criticism gets louder. But here's the truth that changes everything. Having many interests is not the problem. Lacking a framework to hold them is. This is where the idea of the M-shaped future matters. We were taught to imagine life as a straight climb: education, career, mastery, stability. Some newer models talk about being T-shaped, deep in one skill, broad on the sides. But for people like you, the future doesn't look like a line or a single pillar. It looks like multiple peaks across time. Periods of immersion, periods of transition, periods of integration. You don't build one identity and protect it forever. You build several, one after another, each informed by the last. And no, that doesn't mean you're starting over every time. That's the illusion. In reality, your past interests never disappear. They become part of your internal architecture. The writing you once loved sharpens your thinking. The psychology you studied deepens your empathy. The business skills you picked up make you strategic. Even the things you failed at gave you insight, resilience, and emotional intelligence. Your life isn't fragmented, it's layered. Neuroscience supports this too. Brains exposed to diverse learning environments develop stronger cognitive flexibility. You become better at pattern recognition, problem solving, and adapting under uncertainty. In a rapidly changing world, this isn't a disadvantage. It's future-proofing, but emotionally, the shift only happens when you stop measuring yourself by linear standards. Healthy, multi-interested people eventually learn a crucial skill, staying long enough to integrate, not just to taste. They learn to recognize the difference between boredom and completion. They don't chase every spark. They choose the ones that align with who they're becoming, not just who they were yesterday. This doesn't kill curiosity. It matures it. Instead of asking, which interest should I pick forever, you start asking, what phase am I in right now? Life becomes seasonal instead of permanent. You allow chapters to end without panic. You stop forcing lifelong commitments at 25 or 30. You trust that evolution doesn't mean instability. It means responsiveness, and something inside you softens. You stop seeing your past as a graveyard of abandoned dreams. You see it as a training ground. You stop envying people with simple stories and start appreciating the depth of your own. You realize that clarity isn't about choosing one thing, it's about understanding yourself across many things. There's a quiet power in this acceptance. People like you often become connectors, translators, integrators. You see how systems overlap. You understand people from different worlds. You bring ideas together that others keep separate. Your value isn't just in what you do, it's in how you think, how you synthesize, how you adapt. The world is changing faster than linear lives can keep up with. Careers are dissolving, reinventing, hybridizing, and suddenly, the ability to evolve isn't a flaw anymore, it's survival. So maybe the question was never, why can't I stick to one thing? Maybe the real question is, why was I taught to believe I had to? Tonight, as you sit with your many interests, your unfinished projects, your quiet doubts, consider this gently. Maybe your life was never meant to be simple. Maybe it was meant to be rich, complex, and deeply human. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not confused. You are becoming. And if you stopped apologizing for that, if you stopped trying to compress your soul into a single label, what kind of life would finally feel honest to you? If this story felt like it was talking directly to you, take a moment, sit with it, reflect, and maybe, just maybe, allow yourself to believe that your many interests aren't pulling you apart. They're quietly preparing you for a future only you can live. What would change in your life if you trusted that?